Hi guys. I'm sure some of you would have heard the news about Audi's CEO, Rupert Stadler, who was arrested by authorities, right? And as you all know, I do not agree that it is a crime to sell what you sent to the lab for testing. I do not agree this one bit. Okay. Now, there are also news that Mercedes-Benz is also recalling close to 700,000 cars to update the diesel software and all that. So why is there a disparity between how Audi's or Volkswagen's upper management was treated against that of Mercedes-Benz or Mitsubishi or those who were found to have diesel software, whatever? Actually, this whole diesel software thingy is rubbish. Okay, in the automotive world, remember when Proton launched the Pradana, they said this gearbox has a fuzzy logic thing. It's a marketing term, alright? But software has been written into these cars to make them behave differently under different driving conditions, so that they produce more power, they produce less fuel consumption, and they produce less emission. You see, the lawmakers back then, they enact all these laws and say that you have to have this certain amount of emission. You know, it is crazy, and the car makers just have to achieve it, right? So you say you put out a few benchmarks, and the car makers have to spend so much money to achieve what you lay forth, okay? And they achieve it by hook or by crook. As long as that car that they sell is fuel efficient, it doesn't burn so much fuel, it produces less emission, what the fuck are you arguing about? That's why the entire Europe continent was full of diesel cars, because the law back then is to have low emission versus a number of kilometers, okay? Low fuel consumption, low emission. Then came the NOx, right? The nitrous oxide thingy, which wasn't a focus of European legislators back then, but it was a focus for American, especially California ratings, the strictest in the world, okay? And the thing is this, there are other car makers that look at the US standard and then they try to achieve it, but they couldn't. And then they wonder, wow, the Germans can do it, they must be really good at it. They really can't figure out how to do it besides cheating, right? So they decided to not pursue it. So these are honest car makers, okay? But I don't agree that the Germans are cheating, right? Because the world is like this. You set your rule, I try to run the loophole around it. If this is a crime, then what about those F1 teams that found a loophole and gained an advantage? It is about loopholes. And in the adult world, there is no such thing as cheating. There's only black and white, okay? You give me your black and white, I fit your bill, and then either you improve your black and white, or I'm scot-free. I shouldn't be charged with anything, because from what I see, they are selling what they sent to the lab, and that is not cheating, okay? So coming back about all this, and then of course some of you might know the infighting that has been going on inside the VW group, the whole Volkswagen group actually, over the past 10 years, I would say, maybe longer than that, you know. Yes, the company grew under the leadership of Ferdinand Piech, or Ferdinand Piech, how you want to name it. But you'll be wondering, why is it then that back in 2008 there was an attempt of hostile takeover of Volkswagen Group by Porsche Group, right? Aren't they family members? Don't they have shares in each other's companies? Yes, they do. Actually, the whole thing is between sort of a, we can say rivalry, but look at it this way. Ferdinand Porsche has a son and a daughter, okay? Ferry Porsche and Louis Porsche. Louis Porsche started the Porsche company earlier than Ferry Porsche. Louis Porsche started Porsche Holdings, which is a car distributor that sells Volkswagen. Ferry Porsche started the Porsche car company later on to sell sports cars. So Louis Porsche and her husband is instrumental in helping the father, which is Ferdinand Porsche, in starting Volkswagen, the car company. Okay, so she had a son called Ferdinand Piech or Ferdinand Piech. Okay, remember how you pronounce it. Okay, let's say Ferdinand Piech, P-I-E-C-H. Okay, and Ferry Porsche has a son called Wolfgang Porsche. Okay, and two of them, one of them is an idiot, the other a genius. Okay, now put it this way, these two cousins, okay, this cousin has always worked a lot harder than this cousin. Why? Because he not only is a genius, he also felt that he doesn't have the surname of his idol. His idol is Ferdinand Porsche, the grandfather, okay, the genius car maker, the automotive engineer of the century. So, but he doesn't carry the surname. His name is Ferdinand Piech because his father, right? And this guy is called Wolfgang Porsche, who absolutely done nothing except envy against his cousin brother. So back in 2008, what makes Porsche CEO then, Wendelin Wiedeking, he's a genius as well, what makes him so daring that this CEO that was hired has the guts to launch a hostile takeover of Volkswagen Group, which was headed by Ferdinand Piech back then? You guess? If it weren't for the support of Wolfgang Porsche, do you think this outsider who was hired in has the audacity to conduct such an act? Of course he doesn't. It is the stupid Wolfgang Porsche. You know what he's saying? Because he just envies his cousin brother, right? And then that plan failed, and Ferdinand Piech bought over Porsche instead, and of course that even makes Wolfgang Porsche hate his cousin brother even more. Then of course that rests for a while, and Audi Group was growing, Volkswagen Group was growing as well, and then came the diesel crisis. All right, the diesel crisis. Who was the CEO back then? Martin Winterkorn, right? He is the guy who promised the board that he will make Volkswagen Group the #1 car maker in the world. Of course, CEOs make this kind of promise because they want their bonus, they want their KPI, right? And he was a protege of Ferdinand Piech, but they kind of fall out, right? Ferdinand Piech was trying to oust Martin Winterkorn. What is the reason? Take a guess. And why has nobody ever pointed a finger to Ferdinand Piech for the diesel crisis? Have you ever wondered that? It's because, you think about it this way, right? Ferdinand Piech is a guy, he's an engineering genius, he's an engineer. His team invented Quattro, right? He's the guy who sort of resurrected Audi into what it is today. He took in Bugatti, he saved Volkswagen, he bought in Lamborghini, Scania, all this. It was all his credit, okay? And he created a car just to prove a point. This car is a money-losing business, okay? And all he cares is, he understands that if we're able to create this car, put on our Volkswagen badge, it tells the world something, that we have the capabilities to make a car that rivals the Mercedes S-Class, even though we are the people's car. He made the Phaeton. So the Phaeton is a great money-losing project for Volkswagen Group, but it is a fantastic marketing exercise that pulls up people's aspirational value towards Volkswagen, VW as a whole. So you think about this, an engineer who has so much pride in his work, who admires his idol Ferdinand Porsche, who is willing to make a car to lose money, will he be someone who cheats in emission tests? Definitely not. But who's the guy who would cheat, who would approve the cheat, or tell his staff, by hook or by crook, I want you to get it done, I don't care. And then they get it done, even though using some software thingamajinga, and then he said, alright, let's go ahead. That will be Martin Winterkorn. So when Ferdinand Piech wants to ouster Martin Winterkorn, wants to kick him out because he learned of this diesel cheating thingy, guess who supported Martin Winterkorn to kick Ferdinand Piech out? Which idiot who would support anybody who Ferdinand Piech doesn't like, or Ferdinand Piech wants to remove? Of course, it's Wolfgang Porsche, right? This is the idiot who did this, and then Ferdinand Piech was out. And when he was out, guess what was his last trump card to remove Martin Winterkorn, or remove these bunch of people who was involved in the diesel thingy? Do you think this diesel thing is so easy to be discovered? So we make your guess, right? Of course, it blew out of proportion, because at the same time, US always finds reason to do some sort of invisible embargo. If they can, they would draw up some media backlash against a certain company or a certain product over different point of time, just for the sake of doing invisible embargoes, right? So yeah, so that's how the whole thing blew out of proportion, and now all these top management levels are removed. And then a few weeks ago, we received a nonsense press release that I am very, very sure it was directed by Wolfgang Porsche to send out this global press release. It's the stupidest press release I have ever received. The press release says that Wolfgang Porsche has been instrumental in the growth of Porsche throughout these years. What the fuck was that? What kind of fucking press release is this, that Wolfgang Porsche forces his company's people to issue around the globe just to whitewash him, just to say that he is very important? Look at your own fucking Wikipedia page, Wolfgang Porsche. You only have 2 paragraphs that says who's your mother, who's your father. Fuck you, you're an idiot. So Wolfgang Porsche basically does nothing except being envious of his talented, intelligent, genius cousin brother. And he is a total, utter disgrace to his father and to his grandfather.